Welcome to Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Evan Crean. I am co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living.
My name is Megan Kearns. I'm a contributor to Edge Media Network, and I too am a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association.
My name is Dave Riedel. I write about some movies for some places, and I'm also a member of BAFCA. Yes, I am.
Oh, I like that you said that to yourself.
Yeah. I was going to say, Dave Riedel sounds like Needle.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear.
That's right. We had that conversation off mic, listeners. I know you're fascinated.
Yeah. I won't dwell. We've got some movies to talk about and how. So this week we are going to start by talking about the documentary Tina, which is on HBO Max. We're going to talk about Voyagers, which is a sci-fi film that came out recently. Monday, which is a romantic drama. And then we're going to wrap up this week with Jacob's Wife. And I know Megan is very anxious to talk about Tina, so I don't want to delay any further. Just probably jumping around over there.
Talk about Tina already, goddammit.
I'm chomping at the bit here.
So Tina is a documentary on HBO Max. It is directed by Daniel Lindsay and TJ Martin. They also have writing credit on the documentary as well, and it is about Tina Turner. And I think the summary that I read in HBO was like Tina Turner's life in 5 acts.
Yep.
So it's a 5-part, like it's one film, but there's 5 parts to it where they talk about different parts of Tina Turner's career. And yes, that's the documentary. And Megan, I know you're so anxious to talk. I want to hear what you thought of the documentary. I know you're a huge Tina Turner fan.
I am. God, you guys are very generous. Thank you. Yeah, buckle up because it's going to be a hot minute. Yeah. So for listeners, I said to the guys when we were talking about what we were going to cover, I was like, you guys don't even know what you're in for because I am such a huge Tina Turner fan. I love her. I have loved her literally my entire life. I have loved her since I was a child. She's an icon, of course, but she was my role model as a kid, and I loved her. I loved how vibrant she was and how powerful she is as a stage performer, and her singing just has such a fascinating range, and she has that notorious growl that I love, that gravelly nature to it that I adore it. And when I learned that she was a domestic violence survivor, then I found I could relate to her on a personal level even more, sadly. But she's just someone who I've always adored. So, and I've seen her in film. I have her albums. I listen to her quite frequently, and I've seen her concerts, not in person, sadly, but I've seen concert footage on TV. Like I've seen the Barcelona concert, I've seen the Rio concert, and they're just incredible. So I was really pumped to see this documentary, and I think that it's really the big takeaway I have from this doc is that I think it's fascinating and also kind of sad that the documentary shows how the media constantly focuses on her relationship with Ike Turner, both their professional relationship and their personal. And he was incredibly abusive. And, the documentary opens with a recording of her 1981 People magazine interview where she shared publicly for the first time that she endured horrific torture and abuse under him as her husband. And I think it's really tragic that the whole reason she told her story of domestic abuse in that interview and also in the biopic, What's Love Got to Do with It in 1993, was that so she wouldn't have to keep talking about the abuse. And so she wouldn't keep being triggered and reliving the trauma over and over and over again. And yet she still can't shake his specter. And they show so many interviews, people asking about Ike. And like, there's a really disturbing interview where she's doing press for Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome with Mel Gibson. And the interviewer is asking her, or they're mentioning Ike being arrested or something. And I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Drug possession, I think.
Right. And it's absurd. It's like, we're here to talk about her movie, and you could talk about her music too, because she sings in that movie and she's fucking amazing as Auntie Entity, which, oh my God, do I love her in that role so much. And I love that film, but that's a whole other thing. But anyway, like, you could have asked her so many questions and that's what you talk about. And it's just absurd. And the documentary shows that over and over again, which I think is really, really sad, and really a commentary on, how this woman who broke all these records, broke records musically and touring wise, and, is, queen of rock and roll, is still being compared and saddled with the specter of her abusive ex-husband. It's just awful. I love the cinematography of this documentary. I think the empty rooms in her old house that she grew up in Nutbush, Tennessee, and her old home with Ike Turner. It's really eerie, and it feels almost like haunted houses. Like they're brimming with so much memories and pain. Yeah, and I really liked that visual, along with hearing the interview clips and hearing what was going on. And I love all the archival footage. I think there's so much great archival footage of her, or especially her early performances and her Vegas performances, which was really great. I wish, though, the documentary had focused a bit more on her recording career as a solo artist. I would have liked to have heard a bit more about her artistic process. Like, I love when we see the studio where she's recording What's Love Got to Do with It, and she didn't want to do the song. She hated it. She thought it was terrible. And you see her tweaking it and making it her own and talking about that. And I would have liked a little bit more. And I also would have loved to have heard more about her acting career, because she's in Tommy, she's in The Last Action Hero, and of course she is amazing in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. God, I love that movie so much, in her. And I would have liked to have heard a little bit more about her acting and that performance specifically. But overall, I liked it. And of course, I love that it ends on The Best, which I was waiting the entire film to hear that song, because it's incredible.
Yeah, of course, they saved that for the credits. Yeah.
Yes.
I thought that was fitting that they end on that note.
Yes.
Megan, it's interesting that you said that, talking about she didn't want to record What's Love Got to Do with It and tweaking it in the studio and her process and everything like that. And what the documentary doesn't really spend a lot of time on, which I don't know if it's a mistake, but I think it's something that they glossed over, is, I don't know if I would describe her in the 70s as a prolific songwriter, but she wrote a lot of songs when she was with Ike. Like there was a string of 4 or 5 albums there when half the songwriting credits are for her. Like Nutbush City Limits, that's her fucking song.
Yep, you're
which
right.
is a great song.
So great.
I know so many people who don't like that. I'm like, you don't like Nutbush City? It's because you heard the Bob Seger version first, isn't it? You should correct that.
I agree. I completely agree with you. Yeah, it's so you're totally right. They don't talk about her songwriting, and that's so bizarre to me.
Yeah, and it's and I would also like to hear from her when she became a really successful solo artist, why she didn't write her own songs. I mean, there are people who just don't want to write their own songs anymore. Like, there's a funny story, like before Chicago made Chicago 17, Peter Cetera went to David Foster's like, I don't want to play bass on this album. And he's like, what? But you're the bassist in Chicago. He's like, yeah, I'm not doing it. And I just I wanted to have that conversation, but the Tina Turner part. It's like, Tina, there's 9 songs on Private Dancer. We need one more. Can you write it? She's like, nah.
I'm not doing that.
Nah, I've had enough. I wrote Nutbush City Limits. Fuck it.
I mean, and Private Dancer is such an amazing album. I mean, I love that album, and I love Break Every Rule. I love those 2 albums so much. But yeah, it's just strange. It's strange why she didn't write more. And you're right. Maybe she didn't want to. Maybe she's like, nope, I did it. I'm done. Yeah. And it's kind of like when she retired from touring in like 1999. Or no, that was when her last studio album was, but she retired from touring, like, I think 2000, something like that. And she did, she's done a few other appearances, but for the most part, she's been pretty retired. And I keep thinking she's going to come back, and she'll come back for like something brief, but then she goes away again. And I think she's pretty much done. And, something else that's really sad is her talking about how it's been a life filled with pain, and it's been so sad. And that was so gutting. Because here's this woman who's overcome so many obstacles, an abusive childhood, abusive marriage, all of these, trials and tribulations. And she's this amazing artist and icon. And yet here she is still. I mean, now she's found happiness, and now she's found some peace. and some love, thankfully. But yeah, it's just so sad her talking about how her life is just filled with pain. It just, yeah, it's just sad.
Yeah. I thought the documentary footage or the interview footage, the archival interview footage with her mother was particularly illuminating.
Oh, yes.
And it's just now I can see why Tina had such a, Tina, as if I know her, why she had such a fraught relationship with her mother. I mean, aside from the abandonment,
there's that.
Yeah.
That'll do it. Both her parents abandoned her was just so tragic to hear that part of her life story. And then to hear that, she created a relationship with her mother and took care of her mother, despite the fact that it seemed like her mother didn't give a shit about her.
Yeah. And she's so pragmatic about that. She's like, I know my mother doesn't love me or want to be around me, but she's my mother, so I'm going to take care of her. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so sad.
Yeah, there's a lot of heartbreaking elements to this story. I mean, she's got an incredible life story, an incredible career, and I think the documentary does a good job of spanning that career, although it still ultimately feels tough to see how much of this documentary covers her relationship with Ike and how you said, Megan, all the media attention that it got. But in turn, I feel like it's also kind of like revisiting that as well in like a meta kind of way.
Yeah.
I also, like you two, wish we saw more of her artistic process. I really enjoyed the bits where she was talking about reinventing herself, like and becoming like a rock and roll like personality and like changing her style. And I loved the part when they were talking about what's love got to do with it, and like describing it, the song like a jog. Like I really enjoyed that aspect. And so I could have probably watched a documentary about her artistic process, even though her life is incredible. And like you, I it's so sad because I feel like the end, she's talking about the musical and like a last trip to the US being kind of a goodbye to her US fans. And I'm like, no, I know people get older. They want to retire. They don't want to be working their entire life. I totally get that. But there's just something that kind of broke my heart just hearing those words and knowing that that was the plan. That's like, okay, this is a goodbye to my American fans. And what happens next, I don't know, but it doesn't seem like very much performing or any kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was crying at that because I'm like, no.
I mean, do cut her some slack. She is 81 years old when most people are like, man, I don't even want to be fucking sitting in this chair anymore. Just lay me out. Where she's just like, I'm Tina Turner and I'm going to love my husband,
Yeah. And enjoy my time and embrace the good aspects of my life now.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. But it's just, I don't know. There's something about, and she doesn't have to prove a goddamn thing to anybody, of course. I just think it's so intriguing and fascinating that her goal was, I want to sell out stadiums the way the Stones do. And she did. She beat their record, in her one of her tours, and which is incredible. And so I don't know. I don't want that to end, but that's a selfish thing, that's obviously, she obviously can do whatever she wants, and she's had a hard life. So she should be able to relish, in her gorgeous Switzerland home. And, she has several other homes like in France and I think in London. But yeah, I don't know. It still makes me sad because I think of her as like this really powerful presence that will never dim. And of course she isn't going to, but I don't know. It just, there's still something that makes me sad, but.
I understand what you're saying. I also kind of think of her as this eternal figure, and just, I think a function of that is like how long her career has been and how many times she's had to kind of reinvent herself or do new things. I mean, and then in the 80s she was in her 50s, right? During the 80s when she
40s.
Made it
when
she was in her 40s.
Private Dancer came out when she's 45.
Yeah, being this like in an industry that tends to tosses women out when they reach a certain age of like it's like 30.
Yeah, and she's a Black woman doing this. Like the fact that I mean, what older white women, and I say older, saying like someone in their 40s, don't get many breaks, but especially if you're a woman of color, especially if you're a Black woman, you don't either. And so the fact that she did, it's incredibly impressive.
And so I just feel like you see someone reach that kind of success and kind of defy the odds, and you're like, well, they'll just be around forever because they'll just like literally be performing until they like collapse on stage because they're just that incredible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, and what a performer. God, I could just watch her dance and sing all day long. Love it.
Yeah. Any last thoughts about the documentary?
No. I mean, I think Megan said everything I was going to say.
Well, I was really talking to Megan, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that. I don't want to say a new generation, but I will say a new generation. I love that a new generation of potential fans have been introduced to the best through Schitt's Creek. And I love that. And I love how you said it very eloquently, Evan, about her being eternal. And I think her music and her presence will be eternal. And just, what an outstanding artist. I love her. And I think this, even though there were things like, obviously we could have, the documentary could have, and I wish had focused more on her artistry. And it would be great to have another documentary that does focus on that. I would totally watch that and be riveted by it. But yeah, I think this is a really great overview of her life. Agreed.
So I guess begrudgingly, I will move on to a movie that I've actually been looking.
Do we have to stop talking about Tina? I'm sorry.
Well, let's imagine Voyagers as if Tina Turner were the star.
Whoa,
that's a movie I'd watch.
Right? That movie just got 10,000 times better.
I mean, okay. So I'll go over the movie quickly. So Voyagers, it's a sci-fi action-y, thriller-y kind of movie. It's written and directed by Neil Berger, and
can I just break in here and say it's Lord of the Flies in space?
Yes, I was just going to say that.
Well, you're one of like the 50,000th person to call it.
Right. It's amazing though how accurate that is.
Yeah, it is so accurate. But like every review is like Lord of the Flies in space, Lord of the Flies in space.
Well, it is because it feels exactly that lazy. So like that plot description is like and so here's the thing, like.
So here I got somebody, an editor of mine, Scott Renshaw in Salt Lake City. He called it horny Lord of the Flies. So I think that's better.
Yeah, I guess so. Are they
even that horny? Like not even really.
I mean, just a couple of them are. I mean,
guess really just that one woman. And good for her.
Two things. First off, this is a movie I've actually been looking forward to talking about because I've been looking forward to tearing it apart.
Yes.
But secondly,
let's do it.
There was a good chunk of this movie that I was just operating on pure hate. I was just purely hate watching this movie because I just was like, I gotta see where this fucking movie goes.
And hopefully into the shitter. And boy, does it.
Well, I'm just going to go out ahead and say that I don't know if they could have chosen 3 worse leads. I mean, Ty Sheridan.
Wow.
What a crap performance. Lily Rose Depp, non-entity, also non-character. I mean, there's no character to her character.
No.
And then what's his face?
No acting.
Yeah, and then what's his face from Dunkirk, the bad guy?
Oh, Finn Whitehead. Yeah.
That is got to be the worst performance I will see all year. That he is unfucking believably terrible as the bad guy.
Yeah. He was better in Don't Tell a Soul.
He was better in that. He's better in Dunkirk, but yes, he is much better in Don't Tell a Soul. Yeah.
Like the alien, like if you're going to do something as dumb as the alien might be inside him, deliver it so that I don't want to look at you and go like, fuck you. The alien's not inside him. Get the fuck out of here. Like somebody could have just walked up to him and given him like the 2 Leah Thompson slaps that she gives Craig Sheffer in Some Kind of Wonderful. And he would have been like, you're right. I am a bad guy. I'm going back to my room.
Oh, I think we should bring up the Leah Thompson slaps any chance we get.
Agreed.
Because they're so good. She's so good. Yeah, this movie... This movie is such garbage. Like it is. And, I have to say I was intrigued in the first few minutes because I was like, ooh, I love sci-fi. Ooh, I love, genetic testing and genetic modification of bodies. Okay, I'm here for this. And then, wow, it just wastes every single opportunity and idea that it might have had or could have had or did have.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yes. Yeah. And I know I was joking before, but I wasn't. It really is a lazy movie.
It is. It's very lazy.
In that it is just Lord of the Flies in space. And it doesn't, like Megan was just saying, take advantage of any opportunity to explore any of its themes in any kind of depth. It just pulls this like straight ahead plot and just goes with it and doesn't have any nuance to the characters, like Dave was just saying. There's no nuance to the performances because they're bad, but also like I feel like the writing's so bad. Like, what could they possibly work with? Because like
yeah,
but the acting is so wooden. It's so bad.
Yeah, but just like most of these characters feel so interchangeable. Like I was saying to Shauna after we finished the movie, like anyone could play any of these characters because I just feel like no one left any kind of lasting impression on me. And Colin Farrell, I knew he was not long for this movie when when he basically was in it. I was like, okay, well, he's going to get killed off like early in the movie, and then we're just going to be stuck with the rest of these fucking assholes.
Because he's the only good actor in this movie.
Yeah.
And what a waste of Colin Farrell. Like, I love Colin Farrell. He's really good. And I mean, he's doing his best here, but again, like you said, there's not much to work with, so there's not a whole hell of a lot for him to do.
No. And gaping plot holes.
Oh my God.
So to give a little more depth to the plot summary. So Colin Farrell is a scientist who's raising these children who are genetically engineered, created, whatever you want to call it, basically. And they're being trained to go on this mission that's an 86-year mission to this new planet, to settle a new planet because Earth's, supplies. It's the same old, like, Earth is, dying and we need to start anew. So we're going to send these kids and, they'll have kids and those kids will have kids. And so by the time, they arrive 86 years later, there'll be 3 generations of people essentially to settle this new planet. And so Colin Farrell's not supposed to go with them, but he's like, I feel like I should. I connect with these kids and they trust me. And so like we get that. And then it's like 10 years later is when all this shit goes down. And I can't believe that 10 years later is finally when some of these systems start to break down, because all these kids are supposed to be super fucking smart. And so the fact that they don't question anything that's been happening to them in 10 years, like just... So they drink this blue juice that's supposed to keep them docile and keep them from having any kind of emotions. Like you don't fucking think that in some time in this 10 years, someone wouldn't even forget to take the blue juice or just not do it out of spite or question it. So like, it just doesn't make sense why all of a sudden now all these things are happening.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so dumb. And the one thing that made me the most angry, and you're right, why have they never questioned this before? Because you can be docile and still question shit. Like, it makes no sense. But the film seems to make it seem that everyone is innately bad. Like, because once they go off the blue juice, everyone kind of goes, becomes unhinged except for Lily Rose Depp and Ty Sheridan. But the thing that I found most egregious about this film, beyond the bad acting and bad dialogue, is that it seems to be saying that especially men are innately bad and they're innately rapists. And I'm like, go fuck yourself, movie. Like, fuck you. Like, this is horrible. Like, the minute they go off the blue juice, all of a sudden Finn Whitehead is trying to rape every woman. Like, gross. Like, it's just fucking
really
disgusting.
Reprehensible. And also, I want to point out the fact that after he's killed, in actually kind of an interesting way, although I saw it coming and I'm sure you guys did too.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that everyone is just like, oh, the bad guy is dead, we'll all be good again.
Right?
So fucking dumb. Like
stupid.
Nobody got their throat cut in the middle of the night. That's bullshit.
Thank you. There would have been some fucking vengeance. There would have been some people pissed off. There would have been some dissent. Like, absolutely.
Right. And you would think as humanity's last hope, they would have, built in more safeguards into the system, like maybe have a psych officer, maybe teach the kids about birth control or having sex in a safe way. That's like, also, where are the queer people? Because there are none here.
Of course there aren't, Evan. Of course there are not.
It's like the only thing that they kind of got right, maybe, is that the cast is relatively diverse in a non-threatening sort of way. Because that's what these movies need to be.
All the minority characters die first.
Yeah. Still.
They do. They do.
I also want to mention, by the way, that this is clearly low-budget sci-fi that's made to look big-budget sci-fi. Because how many times do these kids run down the hallway, which is clearly supposed to be a different hallway from the one they ran down before, but it's the same hallway? And it's not just because the ship looks the same everywhere. It's because they didn't have any money. Because thankfully, I'm sure some executive was like, dude, fucking Neil Berger's script sucks. Cut his budget by 20 million.
Yeah.
This is the guy who did Divergent, right? So, I mean, there's no hope for him.
Yeah. And
I didn't hate that, but it's not a great movie, but I didn't hate it.
I don't think that's it's entirely his problem that Divergent's bad. I think that's just a shit story to begin with, but
yeah, it's got
source
some,
material.
Got some, right. It's got some major issues. I agree with you on that. I'm very disappointed. And I know you should never compare the film to its marketing, but that poster is so vibrantly lit with its neon colors.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was expecting sort of a very vibrant, at least a vibrantly gorgeous looking film. And we did not get that. And I'm mad.
Yeah.
I feel cheated.
All the rooms are white. All the characters wear black. And that's it. That's the production design. That's the costume design and the production design.
Yeah. And there's no interesting lighting, no interesting cinematography. Yeah. Anyway, if you want to see, I feel like where I thought this was going, and I will say, I kind of thought it was going to throw a wrench into things where I'm like, oh, these, because there's kind of some clues, or you think there could be clues where one of the characters, I don't even know who, because they are so interchangeable, but somebody says, we are the products of our parents, or we are the products of our genes, or something like that. And I was like, oh, are they really all like from, like murderers and criminal? Like I was thinking, like, is this going in an interesting direction? Yeah. And no, it didn't go down that road. But what it reminded me of was a much better film that's doing sort of something similar, Claire Denis' High Life. So if you kind of want to see a similar plot, like sort of loosely, go watch that film because it's a much better film.
I would also like to add two other things. One is what they could have done, which is actually introduce an alien at the very end and be like, oh my God, it was an alien the whole time. Because that way, at least you would have. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's that. But the other thing is, none of these really smart kids thought to ask the dickhead, whose name is Zach. Of course, his fucking name is Zach, the bad guy. It's perfect. The only thing that would have been better is if his name was Brayden. That would have been... We're circling back to your Zach conversation in
the last episode.
Like Zack Snyder's Justice Leagues. Really, you're going to give a guy whose name is Zach name over the fucking title? Yeah. Anyway,
ZAC, I think, is the Zach too.
Oh, that's even worse.
They didn't even give him a K or an H.
It's not even Zach. It's Zach.
That's even worse.
So none of these really smart, MIT, Harvard hybrids was just like, maybe we should investigate whether A, there really is an alien, and B, whether Zach is having some kind of nervous breakdown, and C, why am I such a tremendous fuckhead? So.
Yeah. Well,
these are all great questions. And I think it comes down to the same problem that I have with Lord of the Flies in principle, is that it assumes that the only reason people are benevolent or kind or cooperative is because of potentially arbitrary societal rules in place. And that's it. And I think that that's kind of a faulty premise to look at society under. And I think, it's definitely a viewpoint, and there's certainly interesting places you could go with that. And this just does not do that at all.
Right. It doesn't. And one of the biggest things that bothers me about this movie is that none of the characters engage in the intellectual stakes of their situation. You don't see them having debates. You don't see them thinking hard about gee, maybe we shouldn't kill each other because we're supposed to be the ones that live and thrive and keep humanity going.
Except for that one character does,
who gets shot.
And everyone else is ready to just murder each other and just kill themselves. What the fuck are you thinking?
Right? But Evan, they don't care because their lives don't matter anyway, because they're just there for the next generation. I'm like, oh my God.
And they're teenagers, and they're off the blue juice, and now all they want to do is bone. So it's we don't have any parents. We can just freely bone.
And they don't even do that. It's really just that one woman who does. And like I said, good for her. Good for her for getting her sexuality on. But Jesus Christ.
Just indiscriminately firing that blaster gun in the kitchen or wherever the fuck they are.
Well, that was just stupid.
I know. And it's just I'm sure maybe because one of you studied engineering, that there are probably parts of this ship that if you shot it the wrong way, the ship would just explode. So I hope none of them are in the kitchen. Okay.
Or you don't have replacement parts for everything. Like you can't just literally blow everything up and
right?
expect it to work or be able to fix it. You have a limited number of supplies in the ship. And also for a ship that's supposed to be built for this kind of journey, how are they able to pry open doors easily? Like when they pry open the fucking door to the weapons room, which why the fuck is that so easy to get open? And secondly, how can you just shoot open every single door?
Again,
it's a
thank
fucking,
you.
Like airlocky kind of door. Like it should be sturdier than that.
Yes, it should. I think I asked that exact same question watching. I'm like, how the fuck are they getting these doors open?
Yeah, and also, why does an MIT Harvard hybrid or whatever the fuck Zach is, why doesn't he think to himself, wait a minute, they've blocked the window on this one door that leads to the airlock. I wonder what they're planning. None of that.
No,
he's just like, she wouldn't fuck me, so I have to kill them. You know, just I swear to God.
My God, it's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid.
And Evan, I'm sorry. I want to apologize for interrupting you at the beginning and breaking in with Lord of the Flies, just because this movie made me so mad. I just had to get it out, and I'm sorry.
It's okay. I feel like we're all gotten quite riled up by this movie, and I feel like giving it any more attention at this point is just unnecessary. So unless someone has something like they really have to get off their chest, I think we should move on to the next movie.
Yeah,
I think we should too.
Okay, so let's move on to Monday.
Must we?
Yes, we must. We must move on to Monday. It's another manic Monday. And apparently I'm the only one who doesn't wish it was a Sunday.
Oh my God, this movie. Man.
So Monday, it is have fun trying to pronounce this last name. So it is written and directed by Argyris Papadimotropoulos.
Very Greek last name. Yes.
Papadimotropoulos, I think.
Yes, thank you.
That's pretty good, Megan.
Thank you.
Yeah. And co-written by Rob Hayes. This is one of those stories about a couple that meets and has a fling that goes for much longer than either intended and gets a lot more serious than either intended. And that's the long and short of it. It's stars Sebastian Stan, who plays Mickey, and Denise Go. How do you say Go?
Goff
as Chloe. And so they meet in Athens and have a whirlwind weekend romance, which starts on a Friday. And then we continue to see scenes from their relationship playing out over the course of 6 months over Fridays until we get to a fateful Monday.
I really wish it had just been one weekend.
Me too.
And I just want to say, Sebastian Stan, the poor man's Hugh Jackman.
I like him.
He's fine when he's doing a character role. He's fine when he's Bucky and he's not the star of the Winter Soldier, even though he is the Winter Soldier. He's fine when he's Jeff Gillooly.
Yeah, he was good as Jeff Gillooly.
And for that matter, he's fine in this part. It's just that this is the mistake that movies like this make. They take two huge assholes who, if you knew either of them in real life, you would stab them to death. And they put them in a room together, and then they're like, here's 100 minutes of them being terrible to each other. Especially him. Now, she's not nearly as bad as he is, but as a human being, Mickey, which is Sebastian Stan's name, he fucking sucks. He is
an asshole.
Fucking asshole. Everything he does is shitty. The fact that any court, Greek, American, Iraqi, or otherwise, would give this guy visitation to a kid that he doesn't even know is fucking unbelievable.
He won't even bother to learn how to speak Greek.
He's been living in Greece 7 years.
Yeah.
And she speaks better Greek, and she doesn't speak it much, but she speaks better Greek, and she's been there 18 months. And I don't know what she sees in this guy. I mean, she's no prize either, but I mean, she's got her shit together at least a little. You know, she's a successful attorney.
Works in immigration law, trying to help people.
I'm so glad you said that, because that was one of my huge problems with this film is what the fuck do they see in each other other than that they're constantly fucking, but they don't have any chemistry. There's like no banter, no flirtation, no scintillating conversation. There's nothing drawing them together. nothing.
Yeah.
Like zero, zip, nada, nothing.
Yeah, you found my purse and you set my couch on fire. Let's have a relationship.
Let's fuck and have a relationship. Let's move in. Let's fuck. Like,
yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, the idea that this guy's big thing is just like, you know what? We can't get your couch up the stairs, so I'll just invite a bunch of fucking random Greeks over and we'll set it on fire and we'll have a dance party and my neighbor's angry at me again, but fuck her because she's 90. I mean, what is this movie? This is one of those movies where the guy is so awful, you have no idea why anyone would make a movie about him. I can only assume that this is completely and totally autobiographical or it's about his best friend. Because Mickey is not even cool accidentally. He fucking sucks. Go to AA, go to rehab, you fucking asshole.
Wow. See, this is funny. I was not expecting this level of vitriol from either of you. Not that I thought that either of you necessarily would like love this movie, but I'm surprised how much you both hate it.
Oh, I fucking can't stand this.
This movie is a titanic piece of shit.
Well, so I want to say that both of them are assholes. Yes, and I agree, Dave, that Mickey is not even like there's not even any charm or appeal or anything. It's not like he's lovable and charming, but he's a colossal douche. Like no, he's just an asshole.
Yeah,
period.
you know who you need? You need Hugh Jackman in his prime. That's who you need.
Oh, I love Hugh Jackman. But anyway, you're right. Now I'm thinking about Hugh Jackman in this role, and it would be so much better because he's just effortlessly charismatic and oozes charisma. But anyway, the thing of it is that I love films about unlikable, like quote unquote unlikable people. Like I love films about them if they are compelling, interesting, intelligent, charming, something. There has to be a draw there. And there just is none. There's no draw for either of them. Neither of them really have characters to speak of other than they do stupid, shitty shit. And that's not a character trait. And like I said, they have zero chemistry as actors together or as characters together. So for me, if you're going to tell a story about a fucked up relationship, like give me Blue Valentine all day long. Like, give me Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Like I want to see fucked up characters doing fucking shitty things and, raging at each other. I love that shit. But this is not that film. Yeah. This film wants to be that film, but it's not that film. And that's, I think, a colossal failure on its part because it needs better writing, better acting, better dialogue, which I know is part of the writing, but it needs more. And also, if you're gonna rely on filming in a gorgeous locale like Greece, make use of that. And it doesn't even show me gorgeous landscapes to at least escape this film through visuals. It's just frustrating.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you guys real quick, and then Evan will let you get a word in edgewise.
I know, because I want to hear why you liked it.
Tell you real quick when I knew this movie was bullshit. It's when they woke up on the beach naked 5 minutes after the opening credits, and there's all these kids swimming in the water, and there's this woman, and the police are like, get up, put on your clothes. And there's this family 10 feet away from them being like, we have children here. You saw the naked people on the beach and you put your fucking towel down there anyway?
Yeah. Yeah, I found that amusing.
What is this fucking stupid movie? This movie's so dumb, it doesn't even know that no parent would do that.
Yeah, they did set up camp right around the naked people. I thought that was very strange. Away.
Yeah.
That's not even an exaggeration.
The kids were on one side of the naked people and the parents were on the other. They were sandwiching the naked people. It was a very odd decision.
Why?
Yeah.
Very strange. Don't get that part of it.
No.
So, okay. So I did like this movie. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed their fling, which turns into a serious relationship and then also just like crumbles so hard. So like I did enjoy them together. I did think they had chemistry. I enjoyed their banter in the beginning of the movie, and I think they had this like way of feeling each other's worst impulses that I found very hard to look away from. And I enjoyed seeing like the decline of their relationship once that like initial honeymoon period wears off, and then they realize they have to be around each other. And she realizes she has to basically be with a man child all the time. And like,
yeah.
So like that part was interesting to me. I thought an interesting plot point was the fact that his ex gives them both visitation rights and they have to be together in order for him to see his son. I think that creates such an interesting scene at the end there after they've been through all of their like insanity where they like strip naked and they get arrested and she's in jail for the weekend and he gets out and they're just like they're stuck together.
Right,
yeah, they're stuck together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know, there's something so fascinating about these people being stuck together for this reason, because you feel like she feels like she can't leave, because how can she like leave this guy high and dry, because then he can't see his son. But at the same time, oh my God, that situation is just so fucked.
Fucking leave his ass.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's like a morbid, I don't know, for me, it's just kind of like a morbid like thing.
Curiosity.
Like a fascination that carried me through this movie. But like, there's so, it's long and it feels long.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of sex scenes. Like
But
so many sex
ones.
scenes. Yeah,
They're not good.
And relatively graphic, but also strangely not graphic at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
It's really weird. The one thing I will say, I just want to say the one good thing that before I forget is I will say Denise Go, however you pronounce her name. I do think she's really good at the end in that really intense fight that they have. I think she's really good in that. I will give her credit there.
I want to say, Evan, I'm glad you brought up the man-child thing, because I think that's what I find so distasteful about him. You've got a guy who's 40 years old and he's living his life like he's 20. And this movie also does my cardinal sin, which is you tell people what your character traits are instead of acting them out.
Yes.
You know, how his best friend, the Greek guy who shits his pants, really, this is the guy who's going to look at you in the mirror and say, you're not going to fuck this up. You're worth it. Fuck you. But also, he just says, he's like, you know, you always run away from the things that are good for you. You're going to blow it. Fuck. Why? Why are you telling me? You don't even, we've seen him do that. You don't need to say it out loud.
Exactly.
You know? Kill me.
The other thing I will say in this film's favor is I am always pleasantly surprised and glad to see an abortion, especially when it's, you know, too often films just shove that option aside. And I'm very glad that we see an abortion here. So yes. I will give the film credit for that too, because we need more depictions of abortion on screen.
Yeah, and boy, was that the right decision, because
holy
shit, this guy's a fucking mess, and there's no reason that she should bring a child into that world.
Right, but I will say one negative about it is that and granted, she's like high as a fucking kite and drunk off her ass, but she's apologizing to him. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you. And it's like, fuck you. You don't have to tell him shit. It's your body.
Yeah, it sucks. That's one thing that always bothered me throughout this movie, is that she's the only one that makes any concessions or apologies. It's ridiculous.
Right, and she shouldn't
She's the only one ever.
Yeah.
No, of course not. He's a fucking dick. Like, she should lay into him more and continue laying into him. Because apparently no one does enough for him to fucking understand what or give a shit about how he is as a person. But anyway, I think I've said all the things that I wanted to say about this movie. So unless there's any follow-up points, I have
one final thought, and it's not vitriolic too much.
Oh, cool.
No, I was going to circle back around. I think, Megan, that you said this, that or maybe you both did, or one of you, I don't know, one of you said it, that they're stuck together and the only way they can see the kid is if the two of them are together. And I think by the end, she's staying with him because she's afraid he'll fuck his kid up if she's not there too. I think that's what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, that last scene where they're waiting for the son to get out of school after like all this has happened, I thought that last scene was dynamite. And the moment where we're seeing their faces. And that's another thing I liked about this movie is we spent a lot of time sitting in these characters' discomfort.
That's fair. That is fair. We do.
I like that we're seeing both individually and together. We're kind of like steeping in their discomfort with themselves and their decisions. And I think there's no better example than that last scene of them waiting for the son to get out of school and being like, what the fuck have we done? Also, shit, we got to pick up a kid from school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say this about the film. I always find it suspicious when you meet someone and their child is not in their life. I'm always like, why? What did you do? What's going on? And, you know, of course, there are certainly circumstances, you know, beyond people's control. But that was my first red flag to this guy. I was like, what did he do? He's probably a shit. And he is. But I think the scene where Chloe meets his ex-girlfriend, the mother of his son, Hector, I think is a really interesting scene in that the ex is like, you know, she says something about him and Chloe's like, no, he's changed. And she's like, you don't know him. You don't know what you're dealing with. And that is so true. And I think that that's a really telling scene. Also the fact that he didn't show up when he was supposed to.
Yeah, that was such a shit move on his part.
God, it's so gross. He's so gross. But yeah, so I will say, I think that's a good scene too. So I do think there are a few good scenes here. I think there are just so many missteps collectively that it doesn't come together cohesively for me.
Yeah. Also, not even heavy smokers would smoke that much in heat like that. I'm just going to throw that out there too. Having been a heavy smoker in the heat.
I was going to say, you are a resident smoking expert.
That's right. That's right. I mean, cigarettes, my one true love. And I would not have smoked in 90-degree humidity like that. So.
Yeah. But this movie.
Okay, then. So let's move on to our final movie. We are going to be talking about Jacob's Wife, which is a horror film. It's written and directed by Travis Stevens and co-written by Kathy Charles and Mark Steensland. And this film stars Barbara Crampton and Larry Fessenden, who are husband and wife. And Larry Fessenden is a preacher, he's like a small town minister. And Barbara Crampton plays his wife. Yeah, it's horror, but it's a comedy too. It's here's the plot summary from IMDb. Anne is married to a small town minister and feels her life has been shrinking over the past 30 years. But then she encounters the master, who brings a new sense of power and appetite to live bolder. However, that change comes with a heavy body count. It's a vampire movie, but it's like a vampire horror comedy.
Yeah, I wish the vampire had been scary. But, I mean, he really just seemed like a teenager who was, you know.
Oh, it's not a he. It's a woman.
Yeah, excuse me.
That's the great, I will say to this film that I do like that this is a film that is exploring female empowerment and how Anne, you know, feels more alive and she's not going to put up with shit anymore from her husband or anyone. And I like that the head vampire is a woman and talking about the patriarchy.
I beg your pardon. I didn't look at the credits beyond Barbara. I didn't even know that was Larry Fessenden. So, hey.
So there we go.
And I've seen a lot of movies he's in.
But no, I do like that twist because it is so often, you know, the erotic, you know, male who's luring women and one particular woman. And I like that we get that gender twist, that it's a woman luring other women, you know, to empower them.
Yeah, I dug that quite a bit. And actually, Bonnie Aarons, who plays the master, also has played the nun in the Conjuring franchise.
That's right. Right.
Yeah. Boy, is she creepy looking in this vampire role? The long, thin, like Nosferatu style fingers, and like
she looks like Max Schreck and Nosferatu, which I'm sure is on purpose.
Oh yeah.
So what do we think, gang?
Well, I like Barbara Crampton. Always have.
Yes.
She's great in this. I think she's so good in this.
Yeah. She's always good.
Yeah, no, she is. I just think she's, I agree. I just think she's really great.
Yeah, I really liked this a lot. But one thing that kept taking me out of it was, you know, they went to all this trouble to do practical effects and then they made them corny, which I think is supposed to be part of the thing, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's part of the humor.
But I think it actually would have been more effective for me. I don't know how you two feel. If the violence had actually been more, just not, you know, like they turned on a garden hose and put their thumb over it like you do when you're 8 years old, and you know what I mean? If it had,
with the blood spraying and the bodily fluids,
if it had been like, you know, when RoboCop puts his like sharp finger thing through Clarence Boddicker's neck, and then you see his jugular going. That I would have been like, oh my, this is quite serious now.
You're right. I kind of felt like that was kind of a nod or an allusion to the Lost Boys, because the blood spraying out like that. So I kind of thought that was intentional in that way. Yeah, I thought it was kind of for humor. I thought it was a nod to the Lost Boys. So yeah, so I felt it was kind of an intentional thing. But I kind of know what you mean. I wish it had been a little gorier. I would rather it lay off the comedy and have leaned harder into more gory kills, if you will.
Yeah,
fair.
But that's my own personal taste, personal preference.
Yeah,
because I find a lot of horror comedies, I'm not really into them, aside from The Lost Boys, which I think is flawless.
Yeah, we've talked about that film.
Oh, yes,
one of our all-time favorites.
Yes.
Speaking of smashing the patriarchy, I wanted to.
Yes.
I wanted there to be worse consequences for Jacob, and the movie cuts right before you find out what they are, for killing the master before Anne, which is Barbara Crampton, before she had a chance to make up her mind. And she says that too. You know, it wasn't your decision to make. Yeah. And then
he steals her choice.
Yeah, and then there's a throwback earlier. You know, the master comes into their house and she's got, you know, a knife at. She's making the Pastor Jacob try to kill. Like, it's your choice. He kills himself, or you come with whatever the fucking master says. I don't know. And
I think it's like you can either survive or thrive or something.
I think that's what she says.
That's exactly it. Yep.
And so, Anne's got the teeth and the fangs showing, and you're not sure whether she's going to bite her husband or, you know, and it turns into a sex scene. Okay, fine. And then we have like an allusion to that at the end. You know, I just would have loved to see her bite his fucking head off. I really would have. You know, like, you took that choice from me. Go fuck yourself, pal.
He's a prick in this movie. And I think for me, I thought this movie was a hoot, first of all. I think Barbara Crampton is incredible. I love her performance in this. I love seeing her character embrace these newfound vampire powers and like totally like grow into them and just love them. He's such an asshole though, her husband, and I agree it would have been satisfying to see him get more comeuppance, but I also really like how the movie ends on a freeze frame where they're sitting on a love seat. He's got the steak and he's like ready to stake her, and her teeth are out and she's ready to like basically bite his face off. I found that really entertaining as an ending to the movie, because I love horror comedy. And I think what I liked about this movie is that it starts out very straight ahead, very serious, and gets progressively funnier. But like a lot of the humor is seeing what would happen with the husband and wife that have been married for a long time. He's been a dick. She's gotten tired of it. And then like he finds out that she's a vampire, but he's still like trying to help her. And they're caught in this like weird situation where like he wants to help her and like make sure that they can kill the head vampire, but then also she's still a vampire. So like, can he trust her? And so, but he's also like a coward too. So I don't know. I found all of those elements funny to me, and I found them progressively funnier as the movie went on. So when we got to the freeze frame, I was like dying laughing.
Interesting.
Yeah, I also wish that there had been more. I don't know if I needed Anne to kill her husband per se, but
that guy sucked.
He did. Yeah. And I would not have been sad at all if she killed him. But I'm not saying like I needed that to feel like some sense of completionism or anything. But at the same time, it's kind of an interesting premise that they're like working together now. And she's like, we're doing this as equals. And I'm all for that. And that's great. I love egalitarianism in a relationship. But at the same time, I'm like, but he's such a dick. Like,
yeah. And he's still not treating her as an equal. He's
right.
He's still doing his own thing.
Exactly. He's still making the decisions for both of them. He's making her decisions. He's still, he apologizes for talking over her, but, still does it. And I'm just like, so it's frustrating. So yeah, I definitely like seeing her break out of her shell and finally stand up for herself. And so I enjoyed the beginning of the film a bit more than as it went on. But yeah, I think Barbara Crampton's performance is so great. And yeah.
All the scenes where she's hyperventilating, I was just like, I believe that you are freaked out right now. I totally buy it.
Yeah. I also love in the very beginning of the film, before she becomes a vampire or, half vampire, or whatever, she is in this world. But I also love in the beginning of the film where she's watching him brush his teeth and she's watching him chew and with such disgust and disdain, and like when he's snoring and he like rolls over onto her. It is gross, but I love her disgust. It's just perfect because you can tell it's just like decades of putting up with this. So when she says that she loves him, it's kind of surprising to me, because I'm like, do you? Like, I don't feel why you do, and maybe you do, but I didn't necessarily know why or feel why, other than a sense of some kind of obligation temporally. I don't know.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. Their dynamic is a little weird, I think, at points.
Yeah.
Where you do wonder, like, why isn't she just bitten his head off already? Because he's such an ass.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe she feels weird about killing a preacher.
Maybe. Or, because maybe she feels like some sense of obligation because, she tells her long lost high school boyfriend or whatever that, because he's like, why did you marry him? And she's like, well, he was there for me when my mother died and he was so good to me and was, there was stability. And so, maybe she still feels some allegiance to that.
Yeah. Or some type of pull to that stable kind of way of life. I love the scene where she is drinking the blood at the grocery store and then the butcher catches her drinking the blood out of the package and she's like, do you have more?
And he's like, the blood?
The blood?
The blood. And then they just cut to her with like a full thing of groceries walking out of the grocery store.
With bags of blood.
So two things. I have to exonerate myself for not realizing the vampire was a woman, and I'll tell you why. Because the whole time, every time I looked at the master, I saw Max Schreck. So I was just like, oh, it's Nosferatu. I didn't even think about it, which is my bad. I should have paid attention more. I might have also maybe been filling out my tax form while I was watching this.
Maybe that's it. Because I was going to say, it's not just a visual cue. It's also in the way the master talks and talks about how men do this and they always will and they'll never change. And another man isn't going to say that, most likely.
That's true. That's very true.
And earlier on, too, the guy Oscar, who's killed by the master or by the other woman who's turned into a vampire as well, he says when he's like mad at Jacob for like taking his, weed from him. Yeah. And he's like, I hate white men. And I'm like, yes, I like this film.
Yeah.
It's great because white men suck.
The other thing I was going to say, the sheriff kind of cracked me up too. So, he was good. Just because he was good. And it was just kind of like, he was smarter than, Pastor Jacob. I think one of the things about Pastor Jacob that's, he's also kind of dumb. So that kind of bothers me that you're hinging so much of this story on, she's supposed to love this guy who she's clearly she's smarter than he is. And they still love each other at the end. And
I also think from an acting standpoint, she does such a much better job. So it's also, for me, hard.
Yeah.
In that regard, too.
But also, like I said, I didn't realize that was Larry Fessenden either, and I've seen him in a lot of movies. So maybe it was a good performance.
Maybe there you go.
Like seriously, when Evan was like, blah, Barbara Crampton, I'm like, Larry Fessenden, who was he? And you're like, it's the preacher. Oh, the main guy. Got it.
I don't think it's a bad performance. I just think I wanted more. I wish it could have been a better, stronger performance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this is really her film, so
yeah. And she does a lot of the lifting, literally with the furniture too.
Yes,
that's a great scene. She's just drinking the blood wine and using her super strength to rearrange the furniture. I thought that was just hilarious.
Yeah. So I guess I should have paid more attention to it. Sorry, listeners. But
Dave.
but it's better than okay. I'll put it that, it's, I mean, every time Barbara Crampton was talking or breathing heavily, I was like, oh, cool. And then I kind of lost interest in it when she wasn't on screen.
Same. And that's my problem with the film. Yeah.
So there you go. Evan, I'm glad you liked it.
Me too.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Yeah. I wish it had. The one final thing I will say about the gender commentary, because it is such a strong point of the film, is that it is, and it is making that point obviously at the end. But I'm just like, but the whole time I'm like, but she's just swapping one patriarch for another, and it's great that it's not that it's a woman, but I'm still like, but she's still being controlled. But then her choice is taken away, so which is kind of the whole point of the story. But
yeah, that does suck, because the master does say, like, I'm not trying to like
control
I'm giving you the choice,
right?
like you be part of this or don't. How often does a vampire say that to you?
Right?
Yeah.
I know, because that is a really interesting thing about this film, is that it's following so many vampire tropes, and it's clearly paying homage to other vampire films. But then this is such a great twist. It's one we don't see that often, and that you see a female head vampire and a head vampire that's giving another vampire the choice, whether to be a part or not and be an individual. It's really intriguing. I guess I wish there had been a little bit more focus on that rather than on Anne and Jacob's relationship and on Jacob. So for me, I think it would have been a stronger film if it focused more solely on Anne and, kind of that gender commentary and that choice. But the fact that it's taken away.
Yeah. I think I agree with all that. I got to give myself a major slap on the wrist for not. Oh boy.
It's okay. It's okay.
I know, but it's this is what happens though. If lately, and I've got so much crap going on off mic, and so when a movie doesn't grab me instantly, I'm just kind of like, okay, and that really worked to my detriment in this case. Whoops. All right.
Well, there's always next week.
Yeah, true.
All right. So let's do a quick recap. We would say, it sounds like we'd all say, see Tina.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We know where you stand, Megan.
Yes.
So that's available on HBO Max. Definitely check that out. I'm going to guess that we are not going to recommend Voyagers. Just a hunch.
Unless you want to hate watch it like you did. And then if you
I still think there are better movies to hate watch, so I'm going to say skip this, even for that.
Yeah, I think so too. But there's a certain fun in hate watching it, and then being able to just like rip into it like later with your friends. So keep that in mind. And that's available, I think, on demand, and I think in theaters? ?
It's in
theaters.
theaters.
It is in theaters. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like 2 of 3 of us would say do not see Monday.
That is
God,
correct.
No.
I don't know. I still enjoyed it for reasons previously discussed.
Listen, I like that you liked it, and I mean that. I always like when someone likes something, because I want to like a film. I just didn't like this one.
Yeah. I mean, you want to like everything that you see. You just can't.
Absolutely.
You just can't.
That's why we watch movies we love, like Double Indemnity on our Patreon. Wink.
Yes. Thanks for the plug. Yeah, and I think Monday is available on demand. I'm not sure about the theater situation on that. And lastly, Jacob's Wife. I'd say see it. Where do you land? Where do you two land?
I'd say see it and pay attention to it more than I did.
Yeah, I think it's a fine film. I would say see it, especially for Barbara Crampton's performance.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
It made me want to rewatch You're Next, even though she's not in it that much.
Me too. But she is in it, and she's great.
Yeah,
but that's just a great film.
Oh yeah, such a good movie. Another Larry Fessenden plays a bit role in that too.
Yep.
Oh God, I forgot that.
Yeah. And that's, I think, available on Shudder.
Yeah, it's on Shudder.
Yes, it is.
It is on Shudder, and then I think you can also rent it some other places. But anyway, that's our recap. That's what we recommend for this week. I want to say a huge thank you to our editor, Otto Clammer. Otto, thank you for making us sound awesome week in and week out. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Otto.
Thank you.
Love you.
And you can find the show anywhere you get podcasts. You can also find us at our website, spoilerpiece.com. We're all over social media. We're Spoiler Piece Theater on Facebook. We're at Spoiler Piece on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and TikTok. Let's not forget TikTok.
Right.
Nope, don't forget it.
And if you want to get in touch with us, let's say you think we're totally wrong about Voyagers for some reason, or you just want to, join in a group gripe session with us, send us an email, spoilerpiece@gmail.com, or leave us a spicy voicemail.
Oh, a spicy. Ooh. Maybe you want to share the love about Tina Turner.
Yes. That too. Where can people reach us, Dave?
At 86221-PEACE.
You can leave us a message, talk about Tina, talk about any of the movies we're talking about this week, or even backtrack to another week if you're still catching up on episodes. If you like the show, please rate and review us. You can go to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece. That'll take you to wherever you platform of choice. You can review us. It helps more people find the show. We really appreciate every review. Indeed. And lastly, if you really, really like the show, you should join our Patreon. As Dave mentioned, this week's exclusive audio, we're talking about Double Indemnity. Last week, we talked about His Girl Friday, which seems like we're on an old movie kick. We'll see what happens next week. We also have a poll that you should vote in if you're a patron. We have exclusive audio each week for our patrons and other perks. And we want to say a huge thank you to our patrons.
Yes, we want to give a huge thank you to Bill Scahan, Bob Chipman, Charles Nash, Chris Wilkinson, Davida Margolin, Deirdre Crimmins, Christopher Jensen, Max Coville, Mike, Lord of the Sith, Rory Glynn, Sean Pensionar, Shauna Harris, Shelley M. McCaskill, Shona Glasgow, and Zach Pigeon. Thank you so much, patrons.
Thank you.
You're the best.
Thank you, patrons. Thank you, listeners. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. My name is Evan Crean. I'm co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living. You can follow me on Twitter and on Letterboxd as Real Recon, and that's real as in film reel.
My name is Megan Kearns. I'm a contributor to Edge Media Network. I too am a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. You can follow me on Twitter at OpinionSWorld and on Instagram and Letterboxd at TheOpinionS.
And my name is Dave Riedel. I write about movies for some places. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and you can find me on the tweets, the grams, and the something else, the Letterboxd, as Dave sees movies.
And we will see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.